to expect, do I? Next morning, I'm waking up in the naked arms of an ex-cheerleader who doesn't seem disappointed at all. In fact, she wants to take me out for breakfast to show me off to her. And I must admit, I was in pretty good shape then with my prominent pectorals and my curveball eyelashes and this big willing grin on my face, like I just discovered you didn't have to know what the answer is to guess the question. And later that same day, we caught a Green Line bus out onto the country for a picnic. And she'd forgotten to fit a diaphragm, so we jerked each other off behind a bush, and it felt incredibly titillating. I couldn't imagine a more delightful way to spend the rest of my vitality. She loved me, she loved London, she loved England. Maybe one day she'd like to live here, but at the moment she had to get back to Yale to graduate. Would I like to go with her? I could get a job, we could travel. She could be an actress, I could be a writer, we could jerk each other off behind bushes till the cowboys came home to move to the ranch house. And if I needed a work permit, hey, we could just get married. Wasn't a big deal. I was being swept off my feet. In a dust storm, I couldn't see the dust for the storm, the chimney for the sweep. 3 weeks later, we were married in a Chelsea registry office. And a couple of days later, I took her home up to Yorkshire to meet my parents, who were visibly astonished. You know how bloody old she is. I think they realised even before I did that I'd rarely ever see them again. They were losing a son and gaining a pen pal. So I knew my mum would never cross the transatlantic in a steel pellet any more than I breed whippets and lived in a closet and asked under line. She was claustrophobic to the nth degree. She had panic attacks under a fucking hairdryer. They didn't belong in my new world. And I didn't belong in their old one, which is now a new one because it was one son less. But hey, we artists must move forever forward, breaking new ground, eliminating barriers, building bridges, uniting all the myths and the legends, the yogurts and the ice cream cultures. We artists have obligations way beyond being merely warm and well-fed. We artists are obliged to create new definitions for the eternally undefinable. And they always told me at school that art was the easy fucking option. They also told me that anal sex was something only Irishmen practice with goats, or puffs practice just really quick. There's a right way being our own gravy in which to delight one's body, and shoving a dooley up yours or somebody else's cash. There's just not a problem eating potatoes to impress your neighbour. You don't mail your rent check to your landlady's back door. So when Lisa told me that weekend up in Yorkshire, 3 days after we got married, that some guy's already shoved his thing up a bum, just for kicks. Haven't I had a shot at it? Oh, of course I have, eh? Hasn't everybody? And that jerked my memory back. But the best I could remember was a rutty rub-off in some chicken's buttocks. No anal penetration that I could recall. This 19-year-old American girl was already advanced curriculum. I was feeling sexually retarded, utterly inhibited. I mean, me and Scottish Mary had pumped the cocker spaniel many times, but I'd never actually tweaked me dinkle up at enough. Now with all that juicy coexistence, what was the fucking point? Just for kids? Her Yankee bravado was beginning to seem a little menacing. A shadow was casting its murky over her nuptials. I mean, this woman was my wife for fucking sake. And some guy's already screwed his thingy up a bum. What was I supposed to say? Oh yeah, it sounds fascinating. Hope I get to meet him sometime. Every time he looks at your face, he'll see your arsehole. He'll think I'm married to a piece of shit. As far as he's concerned, my better half is just a twinkle in a flashy crevice, but ain't no big deal. Oh, fuck, it's not. If he can do it, I can do it. So get your front on your back, bitch. I want a piece of that piece he had whenever he had it. I will not be made a mere vagina of. I will not be bested by some bugger who Yankee Doodle my wife in a most indignified, rear-ended my copper-haired angel with its transatlantic tool. This satirical memoir has to be wiped off, so unbutton your toilet cheeks, little Miss Firecracker. Let a real Englishman compact your captions. Of course I couldn't get it in. Oh, she had to take a pain check out. Oh, that's like hell. Can we try it later? So I guess this other fucker must have a pencil prick then. Small consolation, I'm married to a fucking sodomist. A mole holder. And who knows what other jiggery pokery she'd been creaming off on behind my non-existent. And suddenly I'm starting to realise that this prehistorical jam in the bush really is going to haunt me for the rest of our relationship. And it does. It's like it becomes some kind of objective correlative for all the things I'm soon to feel incapable of flailing around at Yale University. Amongst the jocks and the genii and the superfudge chunkoats with the straight A's, the wise guys and the woof and puffs. How could I compete? What was I competing for? Access to my lady's rectal tissue? A place in the sunbun? I'm a human being, not merely a symptom of my own and my wife's unworthiness. And I actually met this guy. A couple of months into the fall semester, this tall, gangly, jam-smeared Maury Meister of the cocktail suite. Hi, Don. She waved. Like nothing had ever passed between. Hi, Lise, she creamed. Is your mum still sore? My imagination was working overtime. I had one foot in the fairy tale, the other foot in the fucking toilet bowl, and my head stuck up an imaginary ass, and she couldn't imagine what all the fucking fuss was about. The depth of my heart. How could you do such a thing? Have you got no sense of superficiality? Couldn't you just let him nibble on your earlobes or something? Give me one good reason why you let some random smut brain pull you up your bedpans. I liked him. I was curious. Is that it? Are there no rules anymore? Are there no workhouses? It was his last night before he went to war, right? He's dying, right? He's suffering from some incurable disease, and the only thing that can ease his pain is progging his dung up a rectum. Please, tell me you're acting under medical advice. You're being noble self-sacrificially and not just being amiably rear-ended by some very able-bodied Cheshire cheesecake. I liked him. I was curious. And this is what Yale seems to do to some people. By that Christmas, I'd reverted to getting drunk every night and watching fucking family